Hello, everybody. I'm Rachel Leonard, Editorial Director of the Bridal Council, and this is Meet the Expert series. Today, we're so excited to be talking to photographer KT Mary. She's a global luxury destination and wedding and editorial photographer, and also a conservationist. KT has photographed noted weddings such as Kate Upton and Justin Verlander, Leah Michelle, and Sandy Reich. She also appears on the top wedding photographers list for Harper's Bazaar, The Knot, Brides, and does editorials for Martha Stewart Weddings, Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, People, you name it, NL. And also she photographs for brands such as Monique Louier. So you are definitely a wedding photographer besides other things. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so thrilled to see you. KT, how did you decide to become a destination wedding photographer as your specialty?
Yeah, and I actually decided that really early on when I first got into weddings, but coming from the fashion photography industry first, I knew really right away that what I wanted to do was to be in different destinations each weekend with different challenges versus, repeating at the same venue over and over. And so that was, I think, really imperative that I knew early on that travel was something that really fueled my creativity, that constant challenge of being in a new, environment and having to figure that out. It was something that was really important to me. So I set my sights on that early on.
You take such breathtaking landscape pictures too. Describe your overall vision and style.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you, first and foremost. And really coming from that background of fashion photography, I definitely had an editorial style, a little bit of influence from the 5 years that I spent working for fashion photographers. And I really like to bring that to all that I do. It's really important to me that just the same way that when we're flipping through issues of Vogue from either the 80s or the 90s, it's still as relevant and timeless as today as it was back then. It's really important to me that my work does the same. And so I've really strived to really have a timeless aesthetic, something that really showcases the natural beauty. So really looking for the beauty that is there, but not over enhancing it or taking away any authenticity. So really creating timeless, honest work that I feel has a little bit of that editorial flair. And I think ultimately something that, asks us to kind of be transported to somewhere else or makes us feel inspired in some way is really what I'm always aiming for.
That's great. So what are your trademark offerings?
Well, in terms of wedding photography these days, that still is, my core focus, and photographing for luxury destination weddings and couples. And so obviously this last year has been a bit of a shakeup for that, but we are coming back full speed. And so that is still my main foundation. And in addition to that, I also, as you mentioned, do some fashion work for some amazing bridal brands and publications. I love kind of getting back to those fashion photography roots and kind of bringing those two worlds together. And then lastly, pre-COVID, in early 2020, I also stepped into education, kind of bringing my experience of trying to not only build really beautiful body of work, but a sustainable, profitable business, and kind of bringing those two worlds together and helping other photographers do the same.
Well, that's really great. Hopefully you'll be able to pick that up. You'll be able to pick that up again, hopefully soon. What is the process when a couple comes to you? How do they find you usually? And how does it work?
So most of the time, couples are coming through planners or through publications. Obviously, printed publications are getting fewer and far between. That used to be kind of one of our mainstays. Now, things like Harper's Bazaar's list and features in Vogue and other channels are still really relevant. And of course, social media is more relevant than ever. But a lot of the times it's really through our planner networks and the reputations that we've built over the years. And so they'll either come to us kind of knowing of us through those types of things, or directly through that planner who's working, on their behalf to go ahead and bring forward a proposal and allow them to kind of select from, say, their top 3 that they think are a good fit for the couple.
I see. I see. And so, um, so weddings have picked up for you. Are you headed off to any fabulous locations or?
Yeah, we're gearing up right now for about 4 weeks of back-to-back travel, which is really great. It's kind of our kickoff debut back into full force. So we're between Utah, Atlanta, I don't even remember. There's so many. I'd have to look. And then hopefully, we're still waiting to hear back in regards to Europe for this summer. So hopefully we'll be back there as well. It looks like things are starting to open up there, but it's at least domestically all, full steam ahead.
That's so exciting. Good for you. Any tips for choosing the right wedding photographer when a couple is looking, what should they look for?
Well, I have a lot to say about this. First and foremost, I think one of the most important things is to really go to opt for the best photographer that you can afford. And I know that there are a lot of bells and whistles, so to speak, different add-ons and albums and sessions and things like that. And ultimately, you can always go back and say purchase an album or go and add that extra product that you might like to have down the road. But ultimately, you can't go back and make those photos better. So nothing breaks my heart more than when I get an inquiry that is, we had our wedding and I don't like any of the photos. I'd like to do at least a session now or something like that. And that is always, the worst inquiry to get, where you don't want anyone to be disappointed with the final product of that day. So always opt for the best photographer you can afford skill wise. And then, like I said, add those bells and whistles later. Next, I think really dig into looking at the actual images themselves and seeing what you connect with, at least in, on a soul level, on a spirit level. If something, stirs something inside of you, listen to that and sit through as a couple and really kind of go through that and really do your homework in that sense. And luckily, if you're working with a talented planner or team or anything like that, they're going to do a lot of that legwork for you to make sure that somebody's reputable, that they have the experience. All of that is really important. And I think a lot of the times when we're looking at pretty photos, it's very easy to just be like, well, gosh, that looks as pretty as that. And often that's where the planners can really explain, well, the depth of experience of a photographer is something that can really come into play on a wedding day, when circumstances arise or there's a tricky, light to navigate. That's really where you're also paying for that depth of experience.
Exactly. I mean, it could be raining or it could be too dark and all those things. And then there was also um, too much micromanaging or letting you do your job. Do you want to say something to that?
Yeah, I think, the goal is to really be thoughtful about who you select to be a part of your wedding team. I always like to think of it as you're building if you were building a team for the Olympics, you're going to build a team of people that you go, they're good at that, they're good at that, they're good at that. And they're all going to work cohesively to bring this big vision to life. And so if you're really thoughtful about that, if you do your homework, get some great referrals and kind of build one after the other, usually a lot of the times I'll be the one that's recommending the videographer, or if they don't have a bridal stylist yet, I'll kind of help, keep that A team growing. And when you've really done a good job at doing that, then you can truly just relax, do the work up front to have build a beautiful timeline that serves you on that day, and then really let everybody do their jobs. And that's when I think not only can you get probably an even better experience, have a wedding that's even more beautiful than what you could have painted in your mind, but you can most importantly be present and actually truly experience that day, which when we see people that are really able to be in the day and to really let loose and be present with all those people, that's probably the most beautiful thing that you'll see.
That makes a lot of sense. And the pictures will come out better because they'll be
Absolutely.
enjoying and all that stuff. So tell us a bit about your photography business for good.
Yeah, absolutely. So many years for as long as I can remember, I have been really passionate about animals, conservation, wildlife, the planet, all of it. And ultimately that has always been something that's been there working in the background, but I have been focused on being a successful photographer and building a successful business. And a few years ago, I was reading a news article about the last northern white rhino in the world. His name was Sudan, and he was the last male northern white rhino in the world. And it became very apparent in that moment that this is something that's not quote unquote waiting for me to be successful, that these issues are very real right here, right now. And so quickly what I did was I created a passion project called Render Loyalty, and I partnered with three nonprofit conservancies that are all in Africa, one of them now being the conservancy where Sudan was. He's now since passed away. And what I did was we traveled several times to Africa, photographing the beautiful animals, the threatened animals that these conservancies protect. And we now sell large format black and white prints, donating 20% of all sales back to those conservancies. And
Nice.
so it's been a passion project that has overflowed into the other areas of my work and education sales. Same thing, we donate 10% back. And I just believe in really building a business that within the business plan has a model for giving back. And that really is one more reason to motivate for success and to keep pushing forward in spite of any challenges that there might be.
Such a great story, and really enjoyed speaking to you. And is there anything else you need to say to everybody?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think that we're all just so thrilled to see celebrations coming back together, to see people gathering again. So I think it's going to be a really busy, a really fun year ahead. And I look forward to just being a part of that with the rest of the industry.
Excellent. And it's KT Mary, and check out her website because she makes stunning photographs. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.